Hello everybody, what is up? Cobra here with another unboxing review. Now I just got this from HBG and I'm pretty excited about this one. A lot of like little pieces and stuff, and so basically let's get into what we got. So first up we have some new 172 infantry. As you can see, these are French infantry. I'll be using them for a couple different powers, but mainly for the French because as some of you know, I've been, repainting a lot of my stuff and replacing a lot of my infantry also with these 172 figures, so I don't just have the same sculpt for all my different nations. So these will be replacing my French World War One and World War Two infantry. They can kind of be used either or, which I like. So yeah, that is the first thing on the list. Second thing is, now I've kind of unboxed a lot of this stuff because of I guess just because I wanted to sort out a lot of things, but I can show you. So first up, we did get all of basically the neutral flag pack for the neutral powers, and that pretty much has all the different flags that you'll need to play Global War 1936. I'm a pretty big fan of putting all the roundels out, and as you have probably seen in some of my videos, I do have all of the roundels to put on all the nations. I've made my own over the years, or back when I first got into the whole Global War 1936. But since I've really gotten used to liking these flags, I really like the flags overall instead of the roundels, and also just the quality of these. My own design were kind of cheap. They didn't look the best, and so it was mainly like a money saving thing at the time. And so now I decided to just invest and get some of these nicer looking roundels. And like I said, they're all kind of sorted out right now, so I can't really show you all of them, and I'm pretty sure nobody really wants to go through every single one of them. So then another couple things we got in terms of roundels, we got these new Romanian roundels. Basically these are the Kingdom of Romania. They're an alternate flag. I just like these a bit more, and I also wanted to get a couple. I got a 10 set of them, and that's mainly because of a new expansion set I've been working on, and I'll just give you a little sneak peek here to the historical board game in Croatia at war, and you can see here with Romania having a couple of new territories. So expect a video on that sometime next month, hopefully. So some other roundels we got were these Kingdom of Bulgaria roundels. Or flags. I really like this flag as opposed to just the white, green, and red flag. I like that new little seal on it. And then also, the main reason I wanted to get a couple is because of the fact that in my 1914 game, Bulgaria has a couple territories, so got a couple of flags to go on those couple territories. Then for the rest of flags, I think that's all for the standard flags that you would be seeing. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I didn't get any other ones. So then, going into the custom pieces, and there's a lot of them. So first up, let's see here, we got some of the French infantry that I've gotten, but there are a couple of new French pieces that I'll be painting. So first up, we have this is the ARL tank destroyer. It's basically a late war French tank destroyer, but I'll be painting it up, so I have a French tank destroyer. A lot of the stuff in this set are basically pieces that I want to replace other things. So like right now, the French in my games have the Hellcat from the Americans, but this way they'll have something that they actually, may have built during the war, something a little cooler. I like having individual sculpts that are realistic for every single nation. So that is the French tank destroyer, and then here is the French self-propelled gun. Now, I know this is an American tank destroyer, but it looks a lot like some of the French designs of the early war and interwar period of having these wheeled self-propelled gun carriages. So I really like this thing, and like I said, it'll be the French SPG. So yeah, I really like these things too. Alright, so that's all of the French stuff we've gotten in this. I guess to show off a couple more roundels. Oh, sorry. Alright. There we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so a few more roundels. We've got the Spanish Republican forces. I already have some Spanish nationalist flags, or just Spanish flags from my World War One game. So those will be my nationalists, and here are the Republicans. We did get a pack of Italian light cruisers, but you can see I threw one in to be a Spanish light cruiser just because I thought it looked kind of like the Spanish cruisers, and I had a spare Italian one, so I decided to throw that in. We also got some Chinese nationalist flags. I really like these as opposed to the roundels, so I'm glad to have these now to play with. Alright, and then back into the pieces. Here we have, let's see. So these are from the Historical Board Gaming Labor Day giveaway, and so you can see these are really nice T-34s. They've got some extra ammo or fuel tanks off the backside. The detail on this thing is amazing, and I was trying to figure out what to do with them, you know, because I've got a lot of out-of-box T-34s for my Russians, but I've since decided I'm probably just going to paint these up and just kind of phase out some of my out-of-box Russian T-34s, because these things are really nice looking. And I got a couple of them. I think there's 6 total, which is pretty nice. Alright, next up, there's a decent amount of German stuff in here, so, or for World War I and II. So again, we have, this came in the giveaway. This is the Scharnhorst class German battleship, or battle cruiser. They were kind of in between, but you can see again, like with these 3D printed sculpts, really nice detailing all across the board here. So I can't wait to get these painted up. I think that I'm trying to decide what I want them to be. I've already got a lot of those Graf Spes as my battle cruisers, so I may paint this up as a battleship, just so maybe Germany builds 2 battleships. They could have this and the Bismarck. It just gives them a little bit more, what's it called? Like, I guess pieces on the board, different sculpts. And then the rest of these ships are for World War I. Now, a lot of you know that I have my World War I game, but I'm also a really big historian, and I like to do a lot of research on the German efforts in basically the Asia theater during World War I. So I decided to get the whole East Asian cruiser fleet. So here we have the Scharnhorst, and this is the Rune class, but basically these ships are going to be representing the cruisers during the war. So let's see. So these 2 cruisers are Scharnhorst and Gneisenau that were captained by Admiral von Spee during the beginning of the war. And then I got a bunch of these, I can't remember if they were, I think they were American light cruisers from the interwar, but, you know, through chopping off some funnels and shaving down areas, they're going to make up the rest of the light cruisers in the East Asian Pacific Corps. So you can see here, we've got a couple of them. So that is all of the German pieces we've gotten. Next up is the British and Commonwealth forces. I really like all these. These are probably some of my favorites that I've gotten in this haul. So first up, we have a Commonwealth or British light tank. This is the Tetrarch. This was out of the need of, not only did I want some custom British units, because I've been using the M3 Stuarts as the British tanks. Well, they did use them. I really wanted to have, you know, something that was British. So now we have something, and it looks very unique. You know, if you see this on the board, it's different from most other tanks, so I like that. Next, we have one of my favorite medium tanks. This is the Ram medium tank, a Canadian designed and manufactured vehicle. Basically, these things were built after the Dunkirk evacuation as like a supplemental thing. You know, if the Canadians would have to become the new industrial center of the British Empire, they would be able to send these things over. And they didn't really see a lot of combat, because once the Americans went into the war, they just kind of lend-leased the Canadians a ton of Shermans, so they didn't really need to use the Rams. But they did outfit a couple with flamethrowers and cranes for recovery vehicles, so they did see some combat during the war. but I just wanted these to be my new Canadian armor. So I have seen, a couple games where Canada builds like 2 tanks, so these will definitely be a cool thing to see on the board. And lastly, for the Commonwealth forces, we have the infamous Bob Semple tank. Not as I don't know. I think that people hate on this tank a little too much. It was actually a fairly decent design for what it was going to be used for. As some of you that may not know, it was basically designed by the New Zealand War Cabinet as a kind of a stopgap tank in case the Japanese were to invade. And so, as you can see, it looks like it may have had corrugated steel armor, but that wasn't the case. That was just the way that the steel looked when it was plated on, but it was actually decent armor. It would have withstood machine gun fire. And in terms of being an actual tank, I feel like when you look at Japanese light tanks, stuff that may have been hitting the beaches of New Zealand, if that were to occur, this thing would have been pretty much on equal grounds with a lot of the really rubbish Japanese armor. So these will be my new Anzac tanks, so Australia and New Zealand. So if they decide to build any tanks, they now have a custom light tank, which is pretty interesting again. So I like that a lot too. Alright, and we're getting to somewhat of the end of this. So last couple of bags. Here we have some Italian units. The armored cars came with the Labor Day giveaway. Oh, sorry. And I'm really not sure what to do with these because as of the moment, I actually do have a couple of these as my Italian armored cars. I got them with back when FMJ was making the Italian pack. So, and mine are a bit bigger, which I like. These ones are kind of small. So, I don't know. I may paint them as some more Italian armored cars, but I am not sure. Maybe I'll paint some for the Spanish. That'd be kind of cool. Give them a little custom armored car. And then we've got some Italian light cruisers. This is the Conte di Tucori, and a very nice looking light cruiser. I had been using some like Russian destroyers or something like that, so I really like how the Italians will now have their own light cruiser, and I'm probably going to be repainting my Italian fleet sooner or later, so they're going to look pretty nice. And then lastly, for pieces, we have the Americans, and looks like the bag kind of broke on me. Alright. And let's see, so I did throw in a couple of the tank destroyers, or SPGs, with the Americans too, just to give them a little bit extra. So, yeah. And then a lot of the stuff came in the Labor Day giveaway prize, so, or not really prize, but yeah, just free stuff giveaway. Here we have the Lexington, so a pretty awesome looking ship, and I will definitely be using this as another American capital ship in my games. I've got I think 4 different U.S. carrier sculpts, so now it'll be 5, which is awesome. We got a bunch of aircraft that came with this prize, like a lot of U.S. Mustang variants. So there was just kind of your average Mustang Interceptor. Here we have a heavy fighter with a big fuel tank on the bottom, actually a very long range fighter. You can see all the fuel tanks it's got strapped to the bottom of it. I think that there's one more heavy fighter in here. This is just kind of an interceptor. And yeah, just a couple other sculpts. Like here we have another long range fighter with fuel tanks. This one I may use as a Flying Tigers with the red tipped, not Flying Tigers, what's it called? The Tuskegee Airmen with their red tails, because I know that they did a lot of bomber, bomber escort duty, and they had fuel tanks on the sides of their Mustangs, so that'd be kind of decent little custom sculpt for them. And as for the heavy fighters, I'm not sure exactly what to do with them. I may just paint them up to have as extra U.S. fighter sculpts. I was kind of thinking about using them for a different nation, maybe Italy. I know that they did use some heavy fighters like this, or at least experimented with them and they'd be a cool little custom unit, but who knows. And then lastly for units, we have the Netherlands, I think it's the Marrington Harrington CTLS, something like that, light tank. It does have a little bit of support material I'll have to remove, but a very cool looking little bulky light tank. You know, it's very compact but tall. I really like this thing, and I had actually made a post about this on the Axis and Allies Facebook page, saying that I really wanted to see historical board gaming come out with this sculpt, and they ended up doing it. So I thought that was pretty awesome. And yeah, now this was kind of a meme tank. It's sometimes known as the worst tank of World War II. When the Americans did a little, what's it called, a review of it, they found that it was an absolutely awful tank. And you know, during the war, they were actually quite prevalent. You know, the Netherlands used them, like they were one of the major powers that used a lot of them. The Americans used them in the early war, and then the Chinese kind of used them. And as most of you know, the Chinese nationalists were, you know, on their last legs with the Japanese, you know, launching their invasions, and these were set up as lend-lease vehicles to the Chinese, and even in their desperation, the Chinese rejected these vehicles because they thought they were such a terrible vehicle. But right now, I'm going to be using these as my Netherlands light tanks, and then I have one as an American and one as a Japanese light tank, just because they actually used these during the war. Like the Japanese captured some, the Americans had some at the beginning of the war. And I also threw one in with Cuba because Cuba did buy some of these from the Americans. So I may add that to the Cuban armament. So yeah, really cool looking tank. And that is the majority of everything that came in the everything that came in my most recent order. Did get some more coasters and these cool little battle stickers. You can go on the back of like roundels and show where you're going to be invading. So I like these a lot. But that is everything, and as you can see here, we got a lot of pieces. So I hope you guys enjoyed the unboxing video, and I hope to see you guys again. Cobra out.